Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're going to talk about Sony FX5. So let's dive deep into it. Now this puppy is expensive. It's $5,000 camera. It will cost more than 5 lakh rupees in India. So this is expensive camera and it's almost touching cine camera price, so to say. Now be mindful, this is a full frame 16.6 megapixel camera, which is literally taking the sensor of A7R6. You're like, wait a minute, isn't that a 60 megapixel sensor? Yeah, you take it, do 4:1. You can do that in modern sensors. There is a way of binning the pixels, so to say, basically merging 4 pixels into one. That's super easy mathematically to do. So at that point in time, that's why it's not 12.1 as they used to be. It is 16.6. So sensor, the silicon is exactly from A7R6. It's just basically most likely they have changed the SoC coding rather than changing the physical silicon. And Sony has changed the mold, which, mind you, Sony was very traditional kind of structure where it's like, okay, it's 4K or it's 8K, no in between. Now in between in recent years have become a big deal because there was a TV show, I do not know whether you heard it. This was very big deal because it made Netflix into serious thing. House of Card, they shot it on red, which was like very big deal for that time. Now why? Well, they wanted 4K at that point in time. Reliably, red could do that. However, red could do 4.6K. Benefit of that is they worked their ass off, like bubble level everything and camera to be as flat as possible. But there was always like, what if the table was a little bit that and all that. They could do that because they had wiggle room. And again, if you see that first seasons, for 1 or 2 seasons, it has a depth to it. They worked very hard for that. So industry kind of realized, oh, that high megapixel is because, again, if you have 4:1 compression, as in like 4 pixel becoming 1 pixel, mathematically it's precise. But if you are like 1.27 pixel going into 1 pixel, mathematically it's brutal and it actually makes it ugly. It requires a lot of computation. So companies generally do not like that. Again, you have silicon power, you can crunch it, you can take 7K and drop it down to 4K, but it's not recommended. 8K to 4K, super easy. 4:1 compression, super easy, mathematically precise. But like if you are doing like 6K or any number that is incomplete, that is very brutal on SoCs. So Sony was like, you know what, old school, 4K, 8K, nothing in between. Some of their flagship cameras, like as in like full cinema cameras that were $20,000, $50,000, they had some rough in between. But generally, it's like Sony's like 4 or 8. They could do internally 6K and all that, but they will never give you that. This is the first time they are opening the door. It's like, it's gonna give you 5K. It's like, okay. And it's gonna give you open gate. Okay. So this is the new paradigm. This will also start to use that new battery, NPSA100. So again, they had a good run with the old battery for 10 years. I hope they make sure that this battery also runs for 10 years. New menu system, be mindful, there are multiple menu systems. This menu system is directly coming from their flagship series. So it does look different, the big six as they call it. Very bad design. Bad design as in usability, not the look and feel. Those are great. It's just that the big cameras have a lot of buttons. This tiny camera does not have that many buttons. Multi-axis tilt and flip screen with big screen. The screen is a bit bigger, but again, it is still smaller than Nikon ZR, and not to mention idiotically more expensive. I am not impressed, although it does have a viewfinder. Now, is it necessary? If you need viewfinder, is shut up, take money. If you don't need it, you don't need it. So Sony is like, okay, we're gonna give you both. If you need it, pay $600 more. If you do not, you do not pay the $600 more price. And having a dedicated viewfinder gives them the flexibility. So it is a good add-on. So the screw holes will be utilized for locking those puppy. Although it does come with a penalty that 32-bit audio and viewfinder, they will conflict with each other. You can only use one. So what about the hardware? Well, here's the deal. It has cooling fan because, again, the biggest difference between a cinema camera and this sort of camera, A7 Mark V, is that this, if I record a lot of video, it will give up. It's like I will overheat. Again, it has not happened to me yet, and the longest I've done is live stream with it. 3 hours the camera was on. It was hot, but nothing happened. Be mindful, I'm indoors and air conditioned. So I think we have reached a point where you can record a very, very long stream. And again, I think I've recorded longest is like 45 minutes continuous. So that is good. But the moment I go outside, Indian sunlight, yeah, then I will not trust this. It will last clips good enough, but if I'm doing a wedding or if I'm doing something where I'm getting paid for it, I cannot say, hey, my camera overheated. In those sort of scenario, having a cooling fan is shut up, take money. So having a robust cooling fan. If you are doing anything in Indian sort of heat and you are outdoor exposed during sunlight, buy a cooling fan. The end. Like, there is no discussion. Do not save money where it's like, I can get 90% of the feature, just not get the cooling fan. It only has to overheat on one important event, and then you'll be like, yep, I understand why all cinema cameras have, like, cooling fans. So it does make sense. They have locking EVF port, which again is cool. And again, this is how I know that Sony is selling a lot. That EVF port, the moment they announced it, and people are like, hey dude, we love your 32-bit somehow. But again, we want to use both. They're like, okay, we're gonna create an extender that will extend the hot shoe, directly connect the EVF and pull out the EVF. I'm like, that means they are very confident on that this camera will sell enough that in that large group of people, you will have a small group of people that really want a electronic viewfinder to be extended while they are using the 32-bit audio recorder. They're like, we'll make an accessory for that. Like, it's the same reason, like why this DJI Mic 3 that I'm using right now. I know Sony is selling a lot because DJI will only make hot shoe adapter for Sony. Be mindful, other companies also do that. Basically, Insta360, they have adapter. Samsonic, I think there is a company with S that also makes the hot shoe adapter. None of these companies make hot shoe adapter for Canon or Nikon. Now Canon will sue them, so I understand why nobody is touching Canon. And Nikon, they are not selling enough. So this is the reason. Like, if you really want to understand the health of it, look into the accessories market, not just like, okay, how much product sold they have on all that. Like, are rich people buying it? Because accessories are expensive. So both are good system. 4-channel 32-bit. Again, from bottom of my heart, I hate this idea. Like, you need a hot shoe adapter for that. Dude, you have 2 USB-C port. Use that. Again, you're not gonna give, like, SSD output at this point in time. First time, SSD is more expensive than the camera card slot. But again, if you're not giving that, like, direct SSD writing, okay, cool. Give the audio input here, man. Like, that genuinely boils my blood from bottom of my heart. It's like, we have the technology. You can, why limit to 4? Give 8 channels, 16 channel. You can do that. But like, we have to go through the top jack. It is what it is. At least they have 32-bit, which, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time FX series camera got it. And it has triple base ISO. Be mindful, whenever you're talking about silicon is a silicon. There is nothing into it. The analog to digital converter, that has the gain setting. All old school cameras, digital cameras, they were like sensor, analog to digital converter, and then you had software gain. So ISO was always software gain. So that's why you could take a raw file, increase the what you call exposure in a software. It will look exactly if it was shot with high ISO. Because again, fundamentally, sensor did not had any other signal path. But with advent of modern technology, we are like, okay, what if we had 2 analog to digital converter? If somebody's like, okay, what if we had 3 analog to digital converter? So it is 800 ISO, 400 ISO, and 1200, 800. Now be mindful, it's not necessary that there are physically 3 analog to digital converter. It could be adjustable analog to digital converter, which 3 settings. So again, this is happening on a physical level, meaning if you take a raw file of 800 and you're like, okay, what if I increase the ISO? It will not match 1280. The gain point will physically shift. What is the gain point? Basically, take white and black on the with the gradient, 50% gray. That's the gradient point, basically where you lock it. That should be midpoint in your footage. That's what these numbers mean. So if you need to be like 4000 ISO and then it's landing it, you are in the right spot. If you are at 800 and the center point, that 50% gray, it's going 2 up or 2 down, you are in wrong. So 1280, basically low light scenario, 400 indoor scenarios, 800 outdoor sunlight. So having this sort of wiggle room gives you very clean images. It has networking support also, because 2.5 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz and 6 gigahertz. Although I'm not robustly sold about 6 gigahertz in India, because again, the government has not made it very clear, like, are they gonna do it or they're not gonna allow it? So ignore that part. Although again, if you are doing this as a robust infrastructure kind of deal, Ethernet does matter, and they're like, okay, we're gonna give you Ethernet, no adapter needed, directly use Ethernet. That's good. And again, as I've said, Bionics XR2, which is the next generation of Sony SoCs, this is the main puppy. And again, this is, once I understood this, really made me hate all companies. It's like, I know your SoC can do so much more, you are limiting it. Like this same SoC, my A75 has this has, this can do RAW. I'm like, it's like literally you're limiting in firmware, but it is what it is. Again, Canon also does that, Nikon also does that. It is what it is. It has dual CFast type A slots. It is what it is, but it is redundant, as in both are the same slot. It's not like okay, one CFast type A, another SD card, so you can record redundantly to both. That's good. Robust weather sealing, again leather wicker. It's not waterproof, but it should be able to tank any mild drizzle or rain, something like that. With assuming condition applied, you had a lens that has a gasket. If the lens does not has a gasket, that will become the ingress point. And you can use locking plate. Now this is the smallest thing, but it will have the least amount of what you call friction in your life, because again, I am using this camera, again, even my old Canon camera, you have a plate, you screw it, it can twist because again you are locking it. If you look into old camcorders, there were always a small hole, pilot hole. Basically there was a hole and there was a spot for it, pin spot. The idea was pin will make sure you cannot twist. It will lock the twist, and this will do the main locking mechanism. This is the next best thing. Have locking plates. Again, you're like, is that big deal? Look into the camera plates that are used in cinema industry. You'll be like, yep, shut up, take money. It's a small thing, but does make your life much more easier without adding cage and this and all that. So hardware has improved. Basically, it's a FX3, and they're like, okay, what if we give it more breathing room? That comes from someone who understands breathing room. So what about the software? Well, software is finally a low-cost Sony camera that has raw internal RAW. Now, how the heck that can happen? Isn't Red has the patent on it? Yes. First thing you have to understand, patents expire in 20 years. Red patent will expire in 2028. They are 2 years too early. Now, there was a scenario where Red and Sony went into court and they went boom boom. Now, Sony pulled out a big move where they were like, okay, Red, it was 99% sure Red was gonna win, but they're like, okay, you took, these are our secrets, as in like, not secrets, as like our patents. You used our patent without crediting us and all that. And again, Sony is an ancient company in electronics, so to say, and they have more than enough patent. If you do not know what you're doing, you, without even realizing, it's like, wait a minute, this is from Sony. And that apparently was big enough concern that both party, Sony and Red, got out of the court, did a what you call settlement. So there was some things done. I doubt they transferred money, but most likely it was like, yeah, we're not gonna drag this out, you're not gonna drag this out, but we're gonna have some compromise. And I think once the Red was sold to Nikon, Sony might have had a discussion with Nikon. It's like, do you really want to fight us again? Because again, fighting will take 2 years, and by that time the patent would have expired. So again, it's 2 years bit too early. They had this again on flagship. I think that was the part of the settlement. So X-OCN is a 16-bit linear encoding, and I think the linear part is the reason why they got away. Logarithmic allows you to compress it more. Linear is simpler for your computer to crunch, bad for your hard drive, as in like the data becomes big but easy to compute. So it has 16-bit. Again, do not go into that trillions of color. It does not have that. It's like it's just a number. Okay, it's just a number. Anything like 8-bit, you can tell a difference. 10-bit, whoa. 8 to 10 is a big jump. 10 to 12 is like, okay. 12 to 14 is like, you already reached a point where there is no physical display that can show it. You are already reaching a point where human eye will barely perceive it. Barely. Like 1% in 1 trillion can perceive it. That's how rare it is. So going to 16, it's just that it saves on computation. Sensor SoCs, as in the analog to digital camera, generally are 16-bit. Generally, they take 16, port it to 12-bit linear, and then they fold the file. They're not doing it. So 16-bit. Although they do have good compression on it, as in the files are big but not huge. As in, if you're comparing to Red cameras, you will find that this is a bit tight. File size is tight. But again, right now is the worst time to get into this sort of thing, because you're gonna run out of SSD space. You cannot edit this sort of files on hard drive, because again, hard drive cannot support your playhead moving. If it's linearly moving, cool, it can play it. But the moment you move your head, can physically not seek fast enough. So files are big but not huge. Again, for 99% of the time, given the fact that FX3 was used in an actual goddamn movie, do you really need it? So have it, great. Don't have it, you're not gonna satisfy. Again, let that be clear. 8-bit very compromised, 10-bit lot of room, 12-bit you're more than good enough, 16-bit is like, it's just number at that point in time. Point of diminishing return has been crossed long ago. So it has software support because Sony is a big name in cinema industry. All companies take their hardware very seriously. Again, like if you really want a flagship cameras, that was used in Top Gun Maverick. There was no other camera that could have worked. They needed a camera that could be disassembled, a very small block, so they can put it in cockpit, like actual cockpit, the glass part. They wanted cameras there, 5 of that. So they're like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, we have it. Where do you put the body? Red is not small enough. Sony is the only one that had the option of, like, detaching the sensor block. So again, that would not have, could not be possible with any other camera. So Sony does have a support, meaning if Sony does it, they will support it. Like other companies, it's in their best interest to support it. And the earliest start is Star Wars. The first time Phantom Menace was shot in digital camera, that was Sony camera. So software support, you good, you got this. 5K 3.2 open gate, basically whole sensor, 60 FPS. That's why I hate the freaking Sony. Why the heck my camera is limited? 4K 120 with RAW. I'm like, do not give me RAW, but like at least give me 4K 120 uncropped. It's like sensor can do that, SoC can do that. It's just like no, that is limited for FX6 or FX5. It's frustrating. It does have better video tool, which, mind you, again, if you're coming from Panasonic, you're like, okay, so you reached 1990. So it has good, basically, hologram, I'm saying, chart as they call it, keep forgetting what it's called. Basically, false color is also there, and all other tools that make your life easier, which again, in cinema industry, it's mandatory. It's been taken care of. And this time it's good. Again, if you're coming from Panasonic, you're like, bro, ancient technology. Blackmagic, ancient technology. Canon, recent technology. This finally caught up to it. So that is there. And built-in de-squeezing for anamorphic systems, which again, Sonys generally do not do this, but they are doing it this time because this camera literally looks like either some Panasonic guy got into it or a Blackmagic guy got into it. It's almost like they're trying to make it a tool rather than this is how it works. It's like, it's a tool. You can use whatever you want. We're just making it convenient for you. And they have like so many options where you have this FPS, that FPS, and this crop factor, like so many crop factors. That's it. However, this was very underwhelming for me personally, simply because price is high. Price is high for what it is. Price is high because again, I would be really happy if it had global shutter. It does not have global shutter, and again, A9 Mark III is almost in the same price bracket. So it's like, you could have done that. Could have done that. You know what's better than less skewing? Zero skewing. And so far that's like, okay, that's a choice thing. However, the fact that they are announcing things that are not released yet. For example, if you go into their website, the first thing is 5K 120 FPS, 4K 240 FPS. I'm like, those things are not there. Yeah, they will come in a firmware update. I'm like, when did Sony become Panasonic? This was a Panasonic deal where it's like, okay, we're gonna release a camera that is incomplete and then slowly gonna add features to it. This is not healthy. Again, it's one thing to have basically firmware for fixing bugs. Like A7 Mark V had a bug where if you used any other card brand, you could not have used a Wi-Fi. I had that. Like I bought a Angelbird card and it did not work. I have that card. I had to buy another almost 1.7 terabyte Sony card because that's the only way I could get firmware to work. However, they fixed it. There was an update and now both of my cards work. Great. Those sort of bug fix I desire. And we need, not like, okay, this feature was in your camera, but we did not give it that feature. Or we're gonna give you after 1 year. And yes, I'm not making it up. I checked the website. It is saying the firmware 2.0 is in August 2027. This puppy will hit market in 2026 August. So it's like literally buy the camera, wait 1 year, and then you'll get those features. That just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, I do not, and again, it's not like it genuinely had anything good. If it had like USB 32-bit audio, I'm like, whoa. Again, let that be very clear. If you could shoot a movie without a RAW, you find this idea of RAW and open gate, yeah, it would be good to help, but it's not necessary. Again, what is necessary is having a camera that says what it is, not like, oh, buy the camera now and then wait for 1 year. So that really bothered me. And another aspect is that convinces me that they are really either ran out of public support as a actual competent programmer. It requires a restart. This reminds me of like freaking early computers of 2005 and 10, where it's like, oh, you installed a software, restart. Every game installation, restart. If you change the codecs, it requires a restart. That's why it has this menu, execute. When you click execute, it will reboot. This is a 2026 camera with new SoC. How the heck that happened? I'm 99% sure that's either A, it was done intentionally so the other flagship cameras don't look too ugly, or this is just stupid. Like, again, that's why personally I'm like, this looks almost like anti-consumer. It's like they had some engineers who's like, okay, my man, you have to make a next FX camera that people love. Okay, he made it, and they're like, whoa. If you make FX camera this good, nobody will buy our other flagship. Because again, cooling fan was the only big differentiator if you remove the raw limitation. So it's like, okay, let's add random limitation. It really rubbed me the wrong way. It's like, who needs reboot in 2026 hardware? And codecs and basically FPS, those are randomly, and again, the UI element is not completed. As in, like, you can set a H.265 with 30 FPS. It will show that you can do that. You click it, it will basically change it to H.264. Why? Like, why did you show it? So fundamentally, it's like, it's the first time I'm feeling what the hell from Sony. It's like, what the hell? It's one thing to be lazy, it's one thing to cripple it, another to be this. Like, again, I expect this sort of thing from Panasonic, but I do not expect basically the whole camera gave me a very uncooked vibe, where it's like, just we had to launch it in this season. I'm like, you could have waited 1 month, 2 months. So anyway, that's, again, they specified the date. That means this was a planned event, where it's like, oh, next year we're gonna make this a really good camera. I'm like, that's just wild. So I was very, especially with the restart point, it's like, what do you mean every time I have to change it, it will restart? So yeah, fundamentally, suffice to say, I'm very underwhelmed with it. That's why I was not that excited about this camera. I looked into it, dive deeper into it. Even the people who like it, they're like, dude, things are confusing in this. It's almost like nobody had time to cook the firmware properly to Sony standard. I'm not even expecting like, pro grade standard, Sony standard. It's not done. So this was a presentation on FX5. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.